Welcome everyone to my comic archiving show here exclusively on YouTube. Today we'll be reviewing a bit of Red Sonja, we'll be reviewing a bit of Strange Girls, and finally we're reviewing a bit of Fell. All independent comics, and I can't wait to review them on YouTube today. But first off, I want to welcome everyone to my new comic archiving show here on YouTube, where for the next few months we'll be reviewing comics that are reviewed live on Twitch first, but pre-recorded for YouTube. And as this is a new format for me, I'll be starting off with a bit of comic news first. So yeah, onto comic news. I want to first off start off by saying welcome to my channel on YouTube. The reason why I've moved over to YouTube from Twitch, or not even moved per se, I'm still doing live recordings over on Twitch. And I've decided to start doing little snippets, or not even snippets, but do pre-recorded shows for YouTube. Now, the thing I've got issues with Twitch at the moment is it's currently going through a process of muting VODs for no reason whatsoever. So if you're playing games or something like that, or in my case doing podcasts, you'll find out that you're halfway through your stream that your actual VODs get muted, which isn't good when you've got a podcast going on. You want to sort of keep it refreshed and sort of in a sense where people can actually hear you talk rather than it being all muted more than anything. So that's why they've sort of forced me to move some of my contents onto YouTube. Now, I'm hoping this is a good thing, because this means you guys on YouTube can now have my contents. And it means I'm using my channel for something good at the same time. So instead of the smaller reviews you've seen me do before last year, this time round, once a month, I will be looking at, before I do my actual live shows, doing this pre-recorded show for you guys. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Now, with other news that's going on this month, being November, or it's November now, but the news that I'm going to tell you now is October 2020. So if you're watching the pre-recorded shows, you'll notice a bit of difference. But what's happening is, here in Liverpool, we've got a new superhero patrolling the skies during COVID lockdowns. For those who aren't aware, we've been on a tier 3 lockdown here in Liverpool. And during this exact same time, we've had the filming of Batman going on in Liverpool, the brand new Batman with Robert Pattinson in it. And I've got to say, I'm pretty stoked about this new film that's being done. I've seen image previews, which you guys can go and double check. If you do hashtag Batman Liverpool, you'll get to find out what photos have been done and all that lot. But they started off, I think, at the beginning, the first week or two of October time, filming in Liverpool. So we've seen images of Batman on top of the Liver building, which is really good. He's sort of seen him with his cape out doing that, and it's just been nice to sort of see how it goes and all that lot. We've also seen the St. George's Hall being used for the filming of, they've turned it into the Gotham courthouse, which is awesome. We've also got to see the new Batbike, and yeah, Robert Pattinson as Batman with that chin of his. As people have mentioned to me before, his chin, he's got a real nice Batman chin there to go with it. It looks super cool at the moment. So if you want to go and check that out, do check it out. Like I said, it's been awesome to have him in there. I've sort of joked on stream about how Liverpool needed someone like that and a tier 3 lockdown. I joked about how he's now patrolling the city at night, making sure people aren't out committing crime and all that. I've just been joking like that, when in fact, in reality, he's just been filming the new Batman film. I am not sure when it's being released, and because of COVID at the moment, films have been delayed quite a lot. So the Black Widow film that we're used to seeing, that's been switched to May time, May 2021. Especially here in the UK, it might be already out in America or whatever, but here in the UK, we're having to wait further on. And of course, with a lot of stuff we're waiting to be put on Disney Plus, things have sort of changed in that sort of way, and where film has been suspended, and now they're sort of waiting for things to go on, which leads me on to the next comic news, which is regarding Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, I got wind of Agents of Shield season 7, and where it is the finale. We've been waiting for a whole year since it started being filmed to come out, to be honest. It's only going to be like 13 episodes long. It's going to be the same as what season 6 was, because you had 13 on that and then 13 on this. And yeah, for people in the UK, I have some bad news. If you're used to watching it like I am on, terrestrial TV or free-to-air TV, it is not. They're going to stop broadcasting it on E4 from the looks of it, and it's going to be exclusively on Disney Plus UK, which is a bit disappointing because it's going to force people to pay like £5.99 a month to go and watch it. Which, depending on how you look at it, it's all depending on where you get your Marvel stuff on. But what it does mean is it makes Disney Plus more desirable. We are going to have the new Winter Soldier and the Falcon TV show coming out. We're going to have the Scarlet Witch and Vision show coming out. So there's a lot of that stuff coming out in the next year. It's just dependent because they're being delayed filming. It's nice to have some like Agents of Shield. In America, they have it on ABC. I'm not sure if it's still going to be on ABC or whether or not they're going to just move it exclusively to Disney Plus, where Marvel actually have the rights to do that. So do feel free to check that out if you want to. I am not sure when it's going to be released. I heard rumours it was going to be towards the end of this year, because everything's been re sort of filmed, and it's just the process of post-production and then putting it out for release. And as we're all waiting for films to come out in the cinema or just go on Netflix or whatever you're going to watch them on, it's good to sort of see them sort of coming out, these sort of TV shows that we're used to seeing over on Disney Plus UK. So do feel free to check that out. Now comes the part that I love about this show, which is the review side of it. So for people who want to understand what I do is, in my reviews, is that I choose a few comics and I just review them live on Twitch normally, but for you guys it's going to be for YouTube. So the first one we're going to be doing is Red Sonja, the legendary Red Sonja. It is by Dynamite Comics, and I know a few people get confused with seeing them in these comics in Marvel. These are actually with Dynamite Comics. There is a bit of a crossover going on, but with this one, we're just sticking to the Dynamite Comics ones for independent sort of reasons more than anything. And this is Volume 1, Issue 4. It's dated from May 2018, and I did about 5 issues of this, more than anything, who are interested in the legendary comic section of Red Sonja. Now, with this comic, there is a backstory to it. So I'm going to tell you the backstory, and then we're going to go into the in-depth review of the actual comic. So the backstory is Garth has Tesla captive, and Red is the only one who can save her. But she doesn't have her sword, which you see there. Her sword's been taken from her. And the thing really goes wrong in a game of who can you trust? So just by reading that sort of backstory that I found about the comic, I was like, never done a Red Sonja comic before. So this is very, very new. I haven't read the previous issues, so do bear with me regarding that. But in this comic alone, it starts off with Sonja and her clan in a battle to save Tesla from the barbarian gang hired by Garth. He is like the high priestess who kidnapped Tesla. Now, as they fight, they feel that they are losing the battle. So Sonja stops the fighting and seduces Garth, seduces Garth to try and free Tesla, which ends up in a big battle for the sword. Now, just as he tries to attack her, Garth's ship, which they are on, crashes into a submarine, or a submarine crashes into him as a sort of an offensive tactic. And then you see it open fire on Garth's ship. So as Sonja is fighting the barbarians, Diang, I think that's his name, D-N-A-R, is stabbed, and it's one of Red Sonja's allies who's fighting with her. And he falls into the water in front of Tesla, who he is trying to protect, and you see her quite upset as it's happening. As this happens, we see Sonja killing some barbarians in the water because she's fallen into the water during the crash. And she then ends up retrieving her sword. Now, after retrieving the sword and killing the barbarians in the water, she makes her way to the ship. When she arrives, she asks if anyone is still alive, where she sees Tesla's dad getting stabbed by Garth and falling into the water. Then we see him capture, or recapture I should say, Tesla, and it's at this point we found out she's under Stockholm Syndrome and where she is under his control. And we see her kissing Garth in front of her dying dad, and Sonja is like, what is happening? You know, she's quite shocked. Is this then we see him attack Sonja, who falls into the water as the priest, who is Garth, and Tesla escape on the boat. And Sonja is picked up by the submarine and heads back to the city to ask Madame Curry for her help at the end of the comic. It is a pretty strange read, I've got to say this. It is a strange sort of comic. It's very adventurous, I've got to say. It was quite an adventurous. It reminded me a bit like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like, oh yeah, Red Sonja was Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's got a submarine. But it took me several attempts to understand who the characters were because I hadn't read a Red Sonja comic before. But once I got into the storyline, I started enjoying reading it. Some of the characters, the names did make me laugh. You had Madame Curie, you had Tesla, you had a few others like that, and I was like, oh my god, where are they coming up with these names? Especially with it being written in 2018, you think, okay, this is quite an interesting comic to say. But yeah, I did enjoy reading Red Sonja. So if you're interested in having a look at Red Sonja, do feel free to check her out. So next, we go on to... if I can get that right, there we go. Strange Girls. Or Strange Girl. There's no S in the end of it. But again, this is Volume 1, Issue 10. And this is dating back to August 2006. So 2006. They did about 18 issues of this comic. But yeah, it was an interesting comic to read. I've got to say that. So again, I'm going to give you the guys a backstory. And basically, a marriage to Dave McClane and Kent Williams, rising star Ken Stahl joins up in a new regular series of artists. 6 months after the shock events of the last issue, which is issue 9, Bethany Black and crew find themselves in New York City on a search for a safe passage to Europe, the last gateway to heaven. They soon discover that safety is an illusion on the road to home of Lucifer's black hordes. So that's what we got there. We got Lucifer in the sort of background, and he features in this comic more than anything. I was like, who's this demon there, you know? And realised it's Lucifer. So this comic starts off in New York City 6 months after the what had happened previously, as I just mentioned in the backstory. And Robert Liddell is in an area that is selling humans, and where he is on the lookout for a slave that has gone missing. And this is what Bethany is, basically. So he's on a search to find Bethany, and as he's on his way to find Bethany, who has these strange powers, we see her battling some demons, and she is in the middle of battling Lucifer more than anything. She's using her powers, which are awesome in this, and I've never read a Strange Girl comic, to be honest. This is the first time, again, and yeah, her powers are really good. She produces these magic portals, and where Robert can go delving in, shooting him, and bring up these protective barriers and things like that. Pretty cool stuff, I've got to say this. So she uses her powers as Robert tries to shoot them. All these, because it's more than just Lucifer, his horde of armies are coming on as well. So he's trying to sort of, you know, kill them and all that lot. And Bethany's using her powers to protect him, which isn't working. With them only having one option in this comic, and that's to jump out of a window from... I can't remember if it's the top story or one of the middle stories. It's out of one of the middle stories of an apartment block that you normally see. Anyway, she jumps out the window, and these beastly demons follow her. With the demon catching her by her leg as she lands, asking her where the summoning spell is. So they capture her and say, "Where's the summoning spell?" You know, to try and sort of bring Lucifer out in that sort of way. Just as this happens, Mouse, who is Robert, and this is where I got confused in the comic because we get to find out Robert is actually Mouse. He jumps out the building, firing all his guns in a sort of how can I describe it? In a sort of point blank range in the film. You normally see that sort of like he's just going along, shooting them on both hands, you know. And he sort of uses all his guns to try and save her. However, he is then killed by a passing patrol of hordes as he's protecting Bethany from them, and they open fires at him, leaving Bethany unable to breathe. As someone casts a spell on her, and she falls right next to Mouse's body. It is very surreal, you know. Sort of, you know, you don't know what's going on. Is she dead? Is she just exhausted? I thought at first when I read that part that this spell and the bullets had killed her. But oh my god. Not until I turned the next few pages and started reading further. And what we get a sense is it then cuts back, or cuts to the Tower of Tumba, where the demon lives. And it is made it back to its base, and his men bring over Bethany to him. As they argue, she finds that they have used her powers, that they hurt her. So that's the thing. She's trying to use her powers, and they've got some sort of spell on her that they put in the city centre of New York that she can't use her powers without them hurting her. So he leaves her in the hands of the demon ladies who are helping her escape, without Lucifer knowing. So as they do escape, they come across a body of Tim at the end of the comic. So it was like, whoa. I did get a bit of a Marvel 5 off this, I've got to say. It was a bit of, how can I put it? Some Hawkeye comics and some Hulk comics. I get that sort of 5 with it, and where they're trying to escape and they come across this sort of thing. It's really sort of, yeah, it's a bit dark. Again, it took me a few reads to get into it. The comic itself does remind me of Borderlands. People who've played the Borderland games will sort of get the gist of this comic in that sort of way. Especially in the way it's written, story-wise. It does have that Borderlands feel towards it with the demons and things like that. It's a pretty good once you've got into the plot of it, but if you do miss a few stories from the past missing issues, you sort of lose track of, you know, where it's gone. But this does make me want to pick up more Strange Girl comics. I've got to say, Image Comics, who do these comics, are awesome. I've got to say, I've got more than one on it. And yeah, if you're interested in Strange Girl and you like that storyline of a magical girl called Bethany with supernatural powers who gets captured by a demon and who has to escape with help of lady demons, I've got to say, do feel free to check out Strange Girl. And like I said, this is volume 1, issue 10. And like I said, they did 18 issues of this. So do feel free to check that out. So next we go on to Fell. And Fell was a bit of a strange comic, I've got to say. I haven't got much written on that for notes. But this is about Fell issue 5, volume 1. And they did about 8 issues of this. This one's dating back to 2016. Oh, sorry, no, May 2006. So do feel free to check that out if you want to. But the backstory of this is the detectives on Moon Street Precinct House, the sole police present in the collapsed district of Snowtown, aren't getting anywhere. They have been questioning a murder suspect all night and have had to cut him loose in an hour, or has to cut him loose in an hour. So that itself makes me think, oh, okay, it's a bit like how can I put it? Any sort of CSI sort of stuff, and where or NCSI where they have to capture the person. They've got 24 hours to question them, and they're coming to the final hour to try and find out what is going on, with this murder suspect. And like I said, as they got a new guy, let me have a look. Yeah. So basically, in this actual comic, you get to see him walk into the building. So he goes into the building. He speaks to the receptionist at first, and she's like, "Okay, then we'll see. Go and have a look at the guy that's we've got questioning." So he goes in there, has a word with him, and he's doing this usual technique of having to interrogate him. It reminds me a bit like Sin City meets The Spirit. It's got like a Frank Miller side of this, to be honest, by looking at it. And because the pictures themselves are very black and white and very crudely drawn in a way, not crudely sort of drawn, but it's like roughly drawn is probably the best way to describe it. And he gets a chance. Richard Fell gets a chance to take a crack at this guy, and he's recently been transferred over from the bridge, and he's got an hour to break the killer. But the killer has an unknown advantage. The police failed to frisk him properly for some reason. I don't know why you wouldn't frisk someone before going into an interview room and that. And then what you find is he's got a concealed weapon, which is a gun, with him, and they sort of put the interview into a lockdown situation. So Richard Fell, the detective there in the photo, he's negotiating with this guy, with the this murderer, with the weapon. So as he's talking to him, he's like, yeah, In the end, he ends up getting into his head. You see the guy then, towards the end of the comic, turning the gun to himself and just blowing his own brains out. That is what it's like. It is good job there's no sort of, it's all black and white, because you don't get to see any, nasties in that sort of scenario. But yeah, at the end of the comic, he just comes walking out the room and says, well, his job is done. They've cracked it. They've got a confession out of the guy. And yeah, it is a pretty strange comic. Like I said, this comic is a strange one. I've never read a comic like this. But being a detective comic, it is pretty decent, I've got to say. Like I said, the story, the way it develops, is pretty good. Like I said, it is fully in black and white. And again, Image Comics have done quite well with this. The comic itself is nominated for, it had been nominated for 5 Enster Awards in 2006. So yeah, you guys can't see it in the webcam because of the light reflection, but it has it written on it. You'll probably catch it on the slide there if you get to see it under the Fell name. But yeah, issue 5. It's a pretty decent one. Whether or not I would actually buy more of them, I don't know. But if you're interested in your detective comics, do feel to check out Fell. It's an independent comic. It is written by Warren Ellis, and the cover and the interior art is done by Ben Temple Smith. So do feel to check that out. And yeah, that is the end of the comic reviews. Now we move on to another part of the show, which is the archive inside of it. So I do get a few questions asking me, why do you call it the Comic Archiving Show? Well, I can tell you straight away, what we tend to do is, once we've finished reviewing comics, we then go ahead and actually box them up into these little boxes here. Now, this is where the archiving side of it comes in. And for me, it isn't just the physical archiving and making sure everything is in the box. It is also making new folders and dividers. And also, later on, I will show you how I categorize them in a database, which is a digital version. So people don't think you do a digital version, you need a digital version for these comics. I always think you do. So first things first, we are going to explore the physical side of archiving. Now, the way this goes down is it's worth having a few supplies if you're going to do it. So when you buy a comic first, let me explain this to you. When you buy a comic first, you are not sure what condition they are in. So what I tend to do is I have a look if it's a nice condition comic with bags and boards, you're laughing basically, because you don't have to do anything to him apart from just put him in the box more than anything. However, sometimes you get them loosely packaged, or you find that the boards or the bags themselves are so thin that they rip. So for this, you will have to have some spare bags and boards. So first things first, when I first started doing the archiving side of it, I sort of went ahead and bought a load of boards. So these are sort of boards you can sort of get. I paid originally $6.99 for like a pack of 100, and there are quite a lot of them in there. And as you can see, they'll fit most comics, as you can see there. They're pretty much the same thickness, same width, as you can see there, and it's just perfect for that whatever you want to do. Next thing, bags. Now, I managed to get hold of a load of polythene comic bags. They do again come in different sizes, so make sure you measure the previous bag if it comes in a bag, or the comic itself. And most of the times you will have the sizes on your bags if you're interested in them. They do again come in packs of 100, and normally like $5.99 if you want to buy them like that. I get them. Well, I originally got these from my local comic book store in the city centre of Liverpool. However, you can get them around the same price online, whether it's eBay, Amazon, whatever. You can do that. Now, another thing people ask me about is, how do you categorize them and split them off so they don't interfere with other comics? Now, one reason is I have had to make, because you can buy some dividers for them. You can buy plastic dividers. However, there are two problems with that. One, the price and the amount you get with them. I think you can spend like £10 or $10 on like 20 of them, and they're made out of plastic, which is another problem where it's not biodegradable or environmentally friendly. So what I do is, and this is just a crude way of me doing it, is I have two templates made out of cardboard. What these do is, I have one which represents, let me show you, my 52 from DC. That is a main cover one. So this is like a main divider. And then I want subdividers. So I do a separate template for subdividers. So where you've got volume issues, so you've got volume 1, volume 2, volume 3 of comics, what I do is I use the subdivider for that. So let's say you've got Captain America or Captain Marvel, these, and you've got like 5 different volumes or something. You'll want to use this one for the subdividers to divide each volume. So that is something I would recommend you guys do more than anything. And instead of using plastic, you can go ahead and just buy cheap white cardboard, is what I would recommend. So if you want to go out and get some cheap white cardboard for £1 or $1 or whatever you want to do, €1, do look at that. It is cheaper. This is environmentally friendly because it's 100% recyclable. The only thing you have to do is probably write on the top of it when you cut them out and go around it, because you'll find your templates will actually cover, like I said, you got a lot of space around there. So a lot of that stuff there, the cutouts and that, can go in your recycling. And once you've written in pen or biro or pencil at the top of your thingy there, you need to rub it out, cut the top of that off, and put that bit in the bin. The rest of it, recyclable. So this is why I recommend you sort of using cardboard in that sort of thing. And it's not a case of being environmentally friendly. It's just efficient that way and cheaper to be self-sustained in that sort of way and do it that way. Now, when it comes to it, I have, like I said, 3 boxes for my comics. The big box you see there are all the big issues that I have. So Captain Marvel, I have Captain America, I also have my, what else do I have? Spider-Gwen, and they're all comics that I've got 50 or more comics in. For smaller comics for Marvel, I put them in that small box. And this box here are DC and independent comics. Now I don't have much of that, I've got to say that, as you can aware, but it is nice to sort of have that in there, to be honest. And it is a collection I am looking forward to growing in a way. So what we will do is we shall, if I tip it forward, because all my independent comics are at the back, we shall archive these. And all these need, because I have a subdivider for all my independent comics, is I'll just put them in like that. They don't need any subdividers at all for now, because they're all individual ones. If I had more than one comic to review, I would have a subdivider. But because I don't, I decide I don't need it. So yeah, we'll put them in there, all three of them comics that we've just reviewed. And yeah, we'll put that back. And of course, if you love the smell of new comics, you'll love this way of archiving at the same time. So yeah, we'll put that back on the table, like so. And yeah, that is the physical archiving done. Next, we do have, what do we have? We have the database. So for people who are interested in understanding why I have a database and a separate entity for digitally. So not only do you do the physical archiving, you need to do the digital archiving. So here we actually have, if I can find it, this database. So for people who are interested in this, this is where I tend to list all my comics all on one database. I will be putting a link in the description part if you guys want to check this out. It is available for anyone who is interested in digital archiving or the digital side of the comic collecting. So the difference is between this one and another one I have is I have two versions of this database. I have an offline version and I have this online version on which I use for both Twitch, and I use it for you guys who are interested and anyone who's interested in collecting comics. So the one I have offline, I actually have the price to what I bought the comic for, and then I have another column regarding what the value is. You could do that at home on top of this sort of database. So if you guys want to use this as a template for you guys and you just want to do it, do feel free to use it. Now, I have in total 343 comics in my collection. It isn't much, but it is something that we have going on. And I've categorized them by year, by month, by volume, by issue, by title, and of course by grading, because grading is crucial for you to understand a value of a comic. If you don't want to care about the value of a comic, or someone says, oh, I want to buy a comic off you, what's your grading of it? And you'd be like, as a comic collector, you just don't know. So the best way of doing it is just at least get an estimate to what you think it is, and just have it there. The lower the grading number, for people who are new to this, the worst of the condition. So I have a few, let's say, Captain America ones, which are a 1 grading, and they are pretty poor, I've got to say. They're falling apart, the staples have come out and all that lot. However, because they're from the 1960s, you're going to get that with some comics. Despite them being written by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, you still want to keep hold of them in that sort of sense. So yeah. Also, I've got a thing on where I sort of let people know whether or not it's a variant strain or any information, like my Nick Fury one here, on which is the first appearance of Bullseye. Also, I have the writers, comic book artists, and the interior artists, because I feel that is important. Anyone who's collecting comics, and if you ever go onto any other digital database online, you'll tend to find that some of this information is missing more than anything. Or if you're researching your own comics, this is where this database comes in handy. So what we have here is a lot of comics that have people who have done the writing, the covers and the interiors, which it was back in the day. Nowadays you'll get quite a lot of modern ones on where it's actually written, or the cover artists there's more than one of them. So sometimes you find it hard to try and get all names in it, but that's worth sort of doing it. I do have other columns, just to let you guys know. I have ones about reviews, so where I've actually reviewed them. So I've got YouTube and where I've done smaller comic review shows and where these have been on. And I've also got what I've got in collection and how many of these I've actually reviewed. Now these are mostly my Twitch ones, but I might have to put another column there for YouTube in the future. But we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this format goes. If you guys enjoy this sort of show, let me know. But yeah, the digital side of it is needed. It is a huge database, and it's worth keeping hold of a big database like this. So what we need to do is, because we reviewed 3 comics in this show, we need to add them to the bottom of this database. So this is something we're going to do now on stream, or on YouTube now. So what I need to do is, we have let me see, I want to copy this. So what we'll do is we tend to copy and paste and just do it this way. So what we have is, we have is it image press, don't we? We have image press. I think that's what it is. It's image comics. And we have 2 of them in there. We have 2. I don't know the years, but right. So we have the first one we need to do for image 1 is Strange Girls. So Strange Girl is the one we've just reviewed, the second comic we reviewed. So we'll delete that. It is 1 out of 8. Yeah, 1 out of 18 for that. So it's quite fun doing this on stream, I've got to say, when I'm doing it on Twitch, because you guys get to see when I make mistakes more than anything. With YouTube, it's a bit different, I've got to say. Right, I need to remove that. Right, and we have artists. So the cover artist, we'll do the writer first. The writer. So yeah, if you guys have got any questions regarding this database or anything else, do feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will be more than happy to come back and answer them for you guys. But yeah, I always thought doing this sort of database would be interesting in that sort of way. Now I do have, let me have a look. Yeah, YouTube. So we need to put a Y on that, or this month to what we have done. Right, and we also have, hang on, yeah, I need to make that a Strange Girl. And then we have another one. We have Fell, which also goes here. So yeah, it's, I always think this is sort of needed in a digital world. Some people do have digital comics, I've got to say that, and I think really delete that because that's not needed. Right, August, it's not August, it's May time, and that is, let's double check if that's the right year. Yes, it is the right year, and we'll now do this. So yeah, talking about databases for people who are interested. Some people do have digital comics, and it's nice to have digital comics in a way. For me, I have a few myself, but they're not the same as physical comics. I think that's where people sort of miss the whole sort of reason of why you collect stuff more than anything. Right, and then we have Dynamite Comics, if I remember rightly. So, yeah. If you're interested in comics, do feel free to have a look at this. Right. Dynamites. Dynamite. I think I spelled that wrong. Let me have a look. Nothing worse than making a mistake on YouTube. There's nothing worse than that. Right, Dynamite Comics. Sometimes it's just myself typing too fast, more than anything. Yeah. Right. Legendary Red Sonja. We only had 5 issues of that, I think. If I remember rightly. I know that was 2018, and that was, I think, May time. So yeah, when I do this, I do actually have notes on me more than anything. Just makes it easier than anything else. Right, so we shall... Let me copy that, paste that there. And then it looks a bit more nicer for you guys to have a look at. Right, so we got the writer. But yeah, digital comics isn't something I like doing, to be honest. I like the physical side of it, I've got to say. More than anything. Right, Jobininas, and then we have there. But if you are a big nerd about, or should I say, a big nerd of databases and comics, you will love this stream. You will love this stream, I've got to say, more than anything. Right, so we've got 3 to add to that, so that's up to 6, and yeah, I'll have to make them red for YouTube. More than anything, because I like giving you guys good content in that sort of way, more than anything. So yeah, they're the 3, and I think I did spell that. Did I spell that wrong again? I have done. Oh my god! See what I mean, guys? See what I mean? Right, yeah. Okay. We can sort of be happy with that now, I think, more than anything. But yeah, this is a database. Like I said, I will eventually be putting little what I can put it, thumbnails of the actual comics that I've reviewed on here eventually. It's something I've started doing this month just gone. So if you're interested in that, do feel to look at. So you guys get a full feel of the actual comics in themselves. So yeah, this is the digital side of archiving. So if you're interested in this, or you've got any questions regarding that, do let me know. And yeah, we've updated it now to 346, so that is all correct. So all that's left for us to sort of say is review what we've just done. So yeah, I want to thank those who have actually stayed around to watch this video. It is my exclusive on YouTube at the moment. I'm used to sort of streaming on Twitch more than anything, but I've decided, because of the way things are going on Twitch, to actually bring the contents to you on YouTube pre-recorded more than anything. So we've done that. With comic news, we sort of talked about the new Batman film. We talked about how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s being moved onto Disney+. We've also reviewed Red Sonja, Legendary Red Sonja. We reviewed Strange Girl, the comics, and we reviewed Fell, which was a pretty decent sort of comic set to review, more than anything. So yeah, we'll be hopefully be doing more of this every month, more than anything. So yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed it and want to stick around to watch more. So yeah, regarding my database, you will see a link in my description. If you guys want to check that out, I will put that on there for you guys, and you guys can just read over the actual database itself. So that's why we've got call this the comic archiving show. We spend half the show doing the reviews and comic news, and the other half of it doing the comic database and the actual physical archiving of the comics, as you see here, more than anything. So without further ado, I want to thank you guys who have stayed around to watch me. I've been Captain Scouse. If you've enjoyed what you've seen today, do feel free to hit that subscribe button and like button. If you want to follow me off YouTube, you can follow me on Twitter, where I tend to tweet random stuff. You can follow me on Twitch, where I do some live comic reviews. And finally, I have my Instagram page, where you can follow me also. I hope you guys have enjoyed it today, and I shall see you guys next time.